Okay, here we are, after another big gap in communication. Finally got another demo to come out, so most of what's in the front end is going to look pretty similar to what you've seen before anyway, but there's a fair bit of rework behind the scenes, but some of that then of course will be visible when you start seeing all of the visible hitboxes and things. There's been a big rework there, a lot of new stuff. So just jump into that and just quickly show off what the new collision boxes and all that are going to look like. So beforehand these were pretty simple, so just dump these on. As you see, the standing and walking and jumping, those boxes are more or less the same as they were before and probably will stay that way with maybe a bit of minor tweaking, but you'll know that beforehand all the boxes were like this. Every state had a single hitbox and a single hurt box associated with it. So now that's not the case. So when I start throwing buttons, you can see now that you've got more complex sets. Some of them are still fairly simple, like these, and stuff like this overhead here. So so that's comprised of a couple new features there. So we've got the fact that the states are now using a defined set of hurt boxes as well as just loading the hit boxes from the attack data. There's two-stage checks there now, so if you see with some of the more complex ones, you can see the outline around them. So that's just the simplified first level. What the simplified first level check is for that area to obviously decide whether or not it's worth carrying out any more checks. Keep it efficient. It also lets them be staggered across time as well. There's not many good examples of that except for this one, which you can't see the boxes because they immediately expire because they connect because it's a close only normal. But you can clearly see there's two separate hits there, and that's defined in the one attack. It doesn't have to be hacked together or anything to be two separate moves. So it's just one defined move with a hitbox. It doesn't become active until after the first expires. And also you can have different properties across these now. So I've just abstracted them by giving each set of hit properties its own index. So I can just say that for example, this here has two separate boxes to make the shape of the attack, but they both represent the same hit, the same properties. And whenever one hits, it's one thing, and the move expires. Whereas this, two separate hits with slightly different properties on each. And I think that's more or less it for the general system changes to them. Other than that, it's just been the huge rework of defining all these boxes and getting them all in the right places and timed right. Ken's normals are mostly the same. He's got a few unique ones here, and he's got this unique new command overhead. So a couple of those have been added in since last time. It just seems missing a few things. And of course there's obviously more from the source games I could try to work in as well. What other little minor things have been done since then as well? So we've got pause screen has just been updated so that it now is managed properly by the gameplay screen, so you can just have like a transparency overlay, or I could just drop a menu in the middle of the screen or whatever like that. So that's there. That was a fairly quick change. The attacking states as well now dynamically adjust. Might as well pause while I'm talking and not showing anything. Actually no, I'll let it play on and get a fresh round when I'm done. So attacking states now dynamically adjust the duration of the animation depending on the frame data. So the general idea is to have as much as possible of move properties to be like data driven, so that there's no modification of the code if I just want to make a move slightly slower, do slightly more damage or anything like that. So when you change the duration of the move in the data, loads that up, and then it'll figure out how long it needs to make the animation, and it does it reasonably clever. So like it'll not slow down or speed up the animation usually until relatively late in it, so it'll not adjust the speed for more of the duration than necessary, which then helps. Well, it basically helps in that you can tweak it a bit more before you reach the point of desyncing the animation with the hitboxes, at which point then you've done goofed, and you have to you'll have to manually sort it out whether it's going to go one way or the other, because you can't have both, in terms of being able to make the animation last a really long time, but still have the hit come out really soon, because then obviously the animation isn't going to reach the point where, for example, the fist is properly extended until much later, silly things like that. What else we got to show? Yes, throws have been tweaked a wee bit as well. They mostly work the same way, and I'd like to do a bit more tidy up on how they actually function. But now you have both forward throw and a back throw, so it's the same animation, you just swap sides and throw them over, which is more or less how it's been done in old 2D games, where you only have the one throw animation for both sides anyway. The only thing I want to really tweak about that is if you, I'll go to the centre of the stage actually, if you watch the centre line closely, there's a wee bit of a camera jerk when you grab them, because the side switch, you know, causes the centre point of the two characters to move over suddenly. So I'd like to do a wee bit of a tweak on that at some point, just to have the characters nudge over one way or the other to keep them in the same position. Now that's very easy to do, but it's not easy to do cleanly. You know, I think I would need to have a little specific hack for for that specific forward throw to do that easily. But as well, the throw animations and the getting up off the ground animations, I've just tweaked them a wee bit. So obviously there's the same ripped animations, but I've just done a wee bit of tweaking on them just to get them to line up better, so they should look fairly smooth now, especially with, you know, when you're doing this here, they're getting up with their back to the camera, then turning around, that all had to line up so, you know, his feet aren't jerking a foot across the ground or whatever. So that's fixed up nicely as well. If we throw a, see if we get a Ken SRK on keyboard, which I can do normally no problem, but when I'm demoing I just mess it up. So there you go, we just get a nice little frame effect there. Very simple. It's the same sort of code I used before, just there's a new subclass now that just attaches it to a parent object. What else? So you've got the throws, tweaked animations, normals. What other things? Now, there's a few other little small things that I mentioned in my last text update that I haven't demoed or anything. So yeah, for some of them you'll already have seen actually, is the freeze and the slow motion whenever you finish someone off. So just like it is in most games, you know, you add that wee bit of drama to the hit. There was an old bug actually, yes, in the corner, which should be fixed now. So yeah, so it used to be, so you can see the player one gets pushed out a little bit when he stops trying to walk forward. So that's just the nature of the code, because at this point he's moving on every frame, and then when you let that go, you know, the character collision code pushes him out a little bit. That's fine though. Before, the way this was before is that on one side as opposed to the other, the second player could actually be nudged slightly into the corner, like with their box slightly escaping the area, and then they would both nudge back in when the other player let go. So that's been fixed now. And let's see what other things are there. So yeah, I suppose the one thing you'll have noticed right away, actually, as soon as I throw a few, is that the fireballs have been updated to use the CVS sprites. They're just a bit nicer looking, as long as you apply some transparency to them. So you get those there. Actually, you notice as well, compared to old videos, the fireball, it has a much longer duration. Like, recover takes a lot longer to recover from it. And it's just, I've updated that just to match the duration it is in CVS2. So I just use CVS2's frame data as a reference, just to, you know, keep my numbers sensible. It hasn't been a complete copy paste. I've changed a bunch of things just where things didn't quite, you know, make sense with the animation or whatever. So I'm not that worried about duplicating it or making it that sensibly balanced or anything, because I know it won't be. It's just there to, you know, keep it sensible and vaguely realistic. There's also chip damage now, so if I get the dummy block, and let's see it, one-handed gaming here on each character. I'm bad at this. Actually, this would be easier the other way around if I just down back there and use the keyboard to do the other move. There you go. So you'll notice there's just a little bit of damage coming off there. So like there's chip damage implemented now, and if you finish someone with chip damage, so I don't know why I'm doing it this way around, because I wasn't able to do this a second ago. Let's try this again. It's actually going to be more difficult. But yeah, so when you get finished off by chip damage, you've got the actual crumple animation. which you can barely see because I pushed myself out to the back the max there while doing my one-handed character control, but that's in as well, so you just crumple to the ground when you're finished by chip damage like you do in most actual games. And I think that's most of the things really. Most of the time spent was all on rejigging all that collision detection and the long slog of redefining all that. And also the fact that I really just need to put more time into this because I spread myself so thin across multiple things. But I think that's a good enough summary of what's in there at the minute. So at the moment I'm doing some rework with special moves and such, which as you'll see in here are more or less the same as before. So if you look at the collision detection and stuff on them, it's all still the basic way, and no matter what strength of Tatsu you use, you only do one spin, things like that. So they're all functional but basic and not really complete. So I want to finish those off and get those interacting with the new code that I've added in to make the collision detection a lot nicer. So I should be able to have each hit of the Tatsu as he does multiple spins, have the uppercut do multiple hits on the way up, so you've got the initial hit before he leaves the ground and the second whenever he rises up with all that. And following on from that, if we get that going, the next thing will probably just be to implement juggles so that things like the multi-hit uppercut will connect properly. And juggles should be quite easy to implement, but I haven't had too much of a think about it, so who knows what will happen whenever I start into it. But yeah, that's what's coming up. So see you all in who knows how long when I make another demo. Peace